Hello, my name's Simone and I'm a counselling psychologist. Why does dismissiveness and defensiveness hurt so much? Why does it land in a relationship as something closer to grief rather than annoyance? I think it's because what's actually happening in that moment is that when you bring something to your partner, a worry, a frustration, a complaint even, you aren't just delivering information, you're actually presenting a version of yourself, a self that has longing in it, that has need, that is, however imperfectly, seeking connection. And every small bid is an act of exposure. It's like, here is a part of me, will you meet it? And dismissal it's not a neutral response to that. It's actually a refusal to witness the self that you've just offered, because defensiveness says, I am not interested in seeing or hearing or feeling you. I'm too busy protecting me. And that's why it feels so lonely, because not because the conversation went badly, but because the version of you that reached out was denied. And even when the bid is like clumsy and sharp and badly timed, there is still a self in it asking to be met. So to understand why that cuts as deep as it does, you sort of have to understand what a self is. What is selfhood? Which makes me think of There Is No Such Thing as a Baby, which is a funny phrase by Winnicott. And he meant that an infant never exists alone, only ever as part of that relationship. And I don't think that ever stops being true, because there's no such thing as a self in a vacuum either. Selfhood isn't like something you carry around with you intact. It's like a process of always unfolding and becoming. And it happens in reciprocity with the people who raise us, with our friends who choose us, with the communities we move through, and with the world at large that sees us as something or sees us as something else. It's through relationships we become recognized, and a face looking back at us is one of the first mirrors we ever have. And we never stop needing mirrors, which is why the people closest to us aren't just in your life, they're in your self-concept. They are the version of you they reflect back to you, becomes over time the version that you have to live with. So what do you do if that mirror is distorted? What do you do if you're in a relationship with someone who's dismissive, defensive, contemptuous, unkind during conflict, someone who reflects back a version of you that actually you don't like? Well, I think you start by naming it. And it's not just a therapy platitude. It's actually really good neuroscience, because putting an experience into words actually reduces the activity in the threat center of the brain called the amygdala, and it allows the social part of your brain, the prefrontal cortex, to function properly. So naming something actually gives you back the part of the brain that allows you to integrate what is actually happening to you. So if you say out loud, like, this is unkind, that is disrespect, I feel upset, my experience doesn't seem to matter here, you don't seem to care about me. And I'm not saying name it to win an argument. I'm just saying naming it is the first step of your self-worth coming back. It's the first step in feeling less upset, less flooded, and it gives you enough distance to observe what's happening rather than absorb what's happening. And from that distance, you can start asking yourself better questions like, what role do I play here? What part of me is alive in this relationship? What parts of me die here that I love? And I'm going to speak personally about this. So my upbringing was not perfect, but I have had a few important people reflect back to me that I am decent, I am worthy of care, and I'm worthy of love. I've had really good friends, and I've had a great career path that's been anything but linear, but it's been full of people who've made me feel quite sane and loved and competent. There are whole domains of my life where I can sit in it and I can think, well, I'm doing a really good job. And I more or less feel quite good about who I am here. And I have also known what it is like to go back to a home, to a partner who won't give me any eye contact, to someone who speaks really meanly to me, who isn't interested in my internal world, who doesn't ask me any questions, who doesn't stay kind during conflict, who will not meet me in problem solving, who tells me what I'm thinking, tells me my thoughts. I have even had partners who will go after my identity directly. Call yourself a therapist as a common one, as if I'm not a human first. And I kind of want to name what that is because it's pretty specific. It's not just a low blow, because when someone goes after your identity during conflict, that is a direct attack on your self-concept. It is aimed precisely at devaluing and diminishing the relationship you have with the very parts of yourself that you specifically care for and love. And they aim there because that's where you've invested. And the dissonance between that version of me that exists or existed outside my home and the person I was treated as inside it, that gap became impossible to unsee once I started naming it. And once I could see it, I could also say the truer thing underneath, which was, this is not the version of me I want reflected back to me. I wanted the version of me that I love the best, the kind one, the competent one, the patient one, the one who's worthy of care, of respect, of someone's time, of curiosity. I want that version reflected back to me, not all the time, but the majority of the time. And you don't get total say in who you become, right? That's a fantasy because the self is relational all the way down. But that is the whole point. But you do get a say in the mirrors that you keep standing in front of. And if the self is made in relationship, then choosing your relationships is choosing the self, which feels pretty important. So, anyway, take care. Bye. Hoping that this love